Now it's time for Inspirational Women, and my guest, Dr. Helen McKibben, a clinical therapist who has 35 years of experience. She holds a doctorate in psychology and has national certification from the National Board of Certified Counseling. Dr. McKibben is the author of an important new book, Drop: Making Great Decisions, in which she introduces a groundbreaking technique for overcoming emotional triggers and making better life choices. And in truth, I believe we can all use this. After all, we are committed to our personal growth. So let's learn more with Dr. McKibben. Dr. Helen McKibben, good morning. Thank you so greatly for being with us this morning.
Thank you, Kate.
I really appreciate that we have this opportunity to have a good conversation about our brain. Oh my goodness, it's so crucial to who we are and our life. And yet sometimes, and you've probably found this, people find that maybe it's their worst enemy. Is that true?
Well, I find that the brain knows best for all of us. But whether we know that or not or use it is dependent on if we get enough practice growing up listening to ourselves, or we defer and listen to other people instead of our own brains.
So you, in your work, have really worked with, so many people from probably all walks of life and have a sense of what that has been for the majority of us. I mean, thinking for myself, I think, growing up, it was really hard to trust myself. I kind of deferred to everyone else and felt kind of in this scared space for a long time. Is that kind of where many people are, or do they grow up more confident and trusting in their brain?
No, your statement is fabulous and right on point. Whether we get enough practice trusting ourselves is dependent on if, when we're a child and we have a feeling reaction or a read of a situation like it's tense, or an idea of something we really, really want to do, if our caregivers, who we love very much, reinforce that, yes, I feel that way too, or yes, it is tense, or what a great idea, let's go to the store and let me know how it works out. That child gets enough reinforcement to trust themselves, and they go into adulthood making excellent decisions for themselves based on how they feel or what they observe or what they want to do, because it got reinforced, that self-trust in childhood. Now, there's another option, never blaming parents, by the way, because parents parent us the way they were parented, that if a child has a feeling reaction or a read of a situation like it's tense, or an idea of something they really want to do, and the parent's response is, oh, you don't feel that way, or, oh, it's not tense, or, well, do your idea, but do it my way to be sure you get first prize. If the parental or the caretaker interaction is to dismiss or minimize or take over and control the child's ideas, the child doesn't get enough practice listening to their own thoughts, feelings, and ideas. And within a couple of 2 to 5 years, they can shut down listening to themselves. They walk away second-guessing themselves. Well, I thought it was tense, but mom says no, so she must be right. The child shuts down listening to themselves, and they flip into a dependency on reading their loving parents for what to feel, what to do, and what to say. And here's the problem. They go into their adult life reading other people for what to feel, what to do, and what to say, instead of trusting their own emotional instincts and the brain in the way it's designed to work beautifully for them.
And when that is the case, and this is where your research and your writing, and with the book
Yeah.
Drop, Making Great Decisions, helps us if we've had that kind of not very supportive and encouraging experience. We can learn and teach ourselves to be who we are meant to be.
Oh, absolutely. And my life's work is developing a simple method for those individuals who simply didn't get enough practice growing up. I don't waste my time criticizing parents because parents parent us the way they were parented. But if they didn't get enough reinforcement, my life's work is to give people a simple method based on neuroscience to go back now in adulthood at any age and reinforce them back to listening to how they feel or what they observe or what they want to do for their decisions. It is called rewiring the brain, and the brain is flexible at any age to do that.
And that is also such a key point, isn't it? The brain has that flexibility, and yet, do we lose some of that as we age, or can we, even if we've spent, say, 4 decades in that kind of a place of not trusting ourselves, at that point, can we change our brain?
Oh, yes. I have people coming to me in their 60s or 70s. I have people coming to me in their teens, all ages. And all of our brains operate the same. And I'm teaching them to tap into the brain in the way it's already designed to work beautifully emotionally by listening to our own thoughts, feelings, and ideas. Now, a little neuroscience here. You might say, well, how do you do that, Helen? What we're tapping into is not mindfulness or meditation or breathing or relaxing or psychoanalysis. I'm teaching a simple neuroscience method to tap into the brain whenever we are triggered to feel or by people or situations or our thoughts. And what I mean by tap into the brain, I created a method for the individual when triggered to immediately shift and notice where they're reacting physically when they're triggered, to drop to neutral, and that action of noticing where they're lighting up and dropping to neutral activates the brain. And what I mean by activation is the brain is already designed, if we notice when we're triggered to feel, and we go through and drop to the blank screen or to neutral, your brain in nanoseconds configures how you feel in the moment and gets memory recall of every time you felt that way before. And the brain in nanoseconds puts together how you feel in the moment, every time you felt that way before, what's worked for you, what hasn't worked for you. The brain does that unconsciously for us. And all we have to do is pause with ourselves long enough for the brain to spit out words or ideas of what we could do so we don't feel those ways again or repeat those patterns again that were so difficult and did not work for us.
That's just so fascinating, and it feels like so amazing that we can do this, that the brain is just so huge, which I think we kind of sense, but we don't necessarily know. But you, in all of your research, have obviously uncovered this and put this together for us in this book.
Yes, and the book outlines the methodology, it outlines what's happening with the brain, and it teaches us or people in your audience over a number of life issues how to use this simple neuroscience method to train ourselves back to listening to our own thoughts, feelings, and ideas and resolving feelings by making good decisions. And what I mean by resolve is, have you ever walked away from a situation and you can't stop thinking about it afterwards?
Oh, yes.
That means for our brains that you didn't sit with yourself long enough to make a decision. So the brain keeps bringing it up over and over again, having you second guess yourself. The method I teach is simple and quick and effective to get to your core instincts, your core beliefs, and make a decision based on that. And then you walk away and you go back to what you were enjoying doing. You don't spend hours in your head second guessing yourself or criticizing, or I should have done this, or I should have done that. It is called self-confidence, self-esteem. It is called trusting your instincts. And the brain puts it together for us beautifully.
Can you share with us a circumstance, an example, a story of how this works?
I'm on a first date, and I'm interacting with the person across from me. And I happen to be not reading myself. I'm trying to make the date work. I'm trying to be a perfect date, look beautiful, sound great, sound intelligent. And the response from the individual is he starts responding to me saying, well, I know it's our first date, but why don't you come home with me tonight? Or, I know it's our first date, but you're a smart lady. You know that I won't try anything. We'll just go over to my house and watch movies. The individual, the woman in this instance, or the other person on the date, is starting to light up physically at his comments. And all of a sudden her heart rate goes up, or she's gritting her teeth, or she's holding her breath. She's no longer trying to convince him to like her. If she shifts and notices those neuromuscular reactions and drops long enough to get back to neutral blank screen, in that period of dropping, her brain is putting together every time she dated someone like that before, how she felt, what worked every time she went home with someone before on the first date. Her brain is actively putting together unconsciously her memory and experience to warn her that a new decision might be very necessary here, or she could end up feeling the way she did before on a similar date or circumstance. And when she listens to those words, she sits with herself long enough till she makes a decision to respond back and say, nope, I'm staying with my point of view. So when she makes that decision, she walks away from that date, not second guessing herself, oh, well, maybe I should have gone home with him, or, maybe I've blown it and he was a doctor and he had a Mercedes. So, I made a mistake. I know I did. She doesn't walk away. She uses her life experience and how she felt before to make a good decision for herself. She walks away going, oh, thank God I listened to myself. I mean, how many times, Kate, have people in your audience walked away from a situation and said, why didn't I listen to myself? I knew this was going to happen. That knowing is what I give people a simple method to tap into. That knowing is your experience of what's happened before, that you don't want to repeat those ways you were feeling before, and what to say or do instead. It's called trusting how you feel, trusting what your brain is putting together based on prior experience and feeling recall.
And does that relate to when people use the phrase, that was my gut instinct?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Right.
Yes. There's lots of phrases that mimic this. There's lots of books or podcasts that say, feel your feelings, trust your instincts, listen to your gut, have high self-esteem, have emotional intelligence. And they're wonderful books and brilliant therapists or neurologists. But what's missing for my work and the years and decades I've worked with people is they love these books and these statements, but they don't know how to do it. I give them a simple method of how to actually achieve listening to your gut, having emotional intelligence, having self-esteem. So I am teaching them a method that complements what people are reading out there for self-help, and actually teaches them a method to tap into the brain in the way it's already designed to do this for us. That thing that we didn't get enough practice with growing up, that now we can do at any point in our lives.
And why you say it's never too late. It doesn't matter what age we are, if we still struggle with this kind of situation of lacking confidence and not having that self-esteem. It's never too late. We can do it now.
Never. Yeah. It's never too late. And the other lovely thing about this method and this work is we all have the same brain. It cuts across cultures or gender. We all have the same brain. But whether that got reinforced in our upbringing or not, often is what brings people to going to the bookshelf for self-help, or calling up a therapist, or talking to their friends about, I'm a good person. How come my life isn't turning out the way I thought it would? And this is a simple answer as to why the brain isn't working on your behalf in the way it could. And again, my life's work is to give this skill to everyone so they end up rewiring the brain back to the default of how the brain is already designed to advise you beautifully. It's just, if you didn't get enough practice, let's do it now.
And so practice is certainly the key, and starting young, children can naturally develop it. As adults, whatever age, do we need to go through, say, 10 years of practice, or is there a time frame? Is there an emotional component that makes it, kind of more succinct sooner? How does that work, Dr. McKibben?
It's a wonderful question, Kate, and I'm going to answer it as best I can. It isn't age, it's repetition. Let me pull away from my example for a moment and give you another one. If you were a golfer and I was a golf coach, and you had been using a golf swing for 30 years, and you got a new coach and they came to you and said, we're changing your golf swing, and that golf coach broke the steps down into what you needed to do to change that golf swing to something that was going to be a lot better for you, the golfer would walk away from those golf lessons and all week long go out and practice the repetitions of going through the new steps until they became automatic and unconscious, and he was doing eventually the golf swing the new way. Now, here's the time frame. When we change our brains, when we do something different, it takes hundreds of repetitions of doing a new behavior on an old neuron track. I call it adding a new configuration to the old neuron track. But with this method I'm introducing to people, within 5 weeks, 6 weeks, depends on how many times they're triggered, maybe 3 weeks, they are going to using the new configuration of listening to themselves over the old configuration of being dependent on other people for decision making, because the brain also adapts to what feels better. Mm. So for that person who walked away from the date with, I feel so glad I didn't repeat those patterns again, versus the young woman who could have walked away from the date saying, why did I go to his house? I knew this was going to happen. The new practice, because of repetitions that occur all week long, we are triggered to feel all week long. We have memories of what we've done all week long. And each time you do, it signifies that that's the time to use the shift. Notice where you're lighting up and drop to your blank screen, and listen to your brain's configurings of what you could say or do so you don't feel those ways again that didn't work for you. They do that repetition I mean, we're triggered to feel hundreds of times a day. They could do that repetition and that new configuration all week long for hundreds of repetitions. And by the time you're entering 3 to 6 weeks, you're automatically and unconsciously going with the new configuration because it feels so much better than second guessing yourself or beating yourself up or spending hours in your head second guessing yourself. So the time frame is the amounts of time that you practice the new configuration. It very quickly kicks in.
That is very exciting.
Isn't it?
Yes.
And the other thing that helps it is not just my methodology. Our brains are designed to use current and past memory retrieval for decisions already. So innately, it's born into how the brain is developed. I just have to get them back to using it in the way it's designed because, unfortunately, it didn't get reinforced enough growing up. So that is already in place for us. I don't have to create a new neuron tract. I just have to get them to use the one that's already there for their decisions.
So we can do this ourselves. We're not on the East Coast with you,
No.
But we can get this book. We can work with the book Drop, Making Great Decisions. Subtitle, Use Neuroscience to Retrain Your Brain and Make Better Life Choices. We can get our copy of the book and work on this and create this for ourselves.
Absolutely. And that book provides many examples under many categories of difficulty: sleep, dealing with difficult people, being sure your children have self-esteem as you parent them, addictions, eating, how we make food choices, all of these decisions that we can make for ourselves and with interacting with others. There's examples of how to do this in the book.
So beautiful and so empowering.
Oh, you talk about the new words, agency, right?
Okay.
Here's your agency. Let's use it.
Yes. And you mentioned parents being able to then use this with their children. And I dare say then starting with children, and as you said early on, if we were raised that way, it's more natural for us. But here, as we're learning, and if we have children, we can teach them and they don't have to go through the same hurdles.
Well, you're touching on a wonderful subject, and I tell you why. It's twofold. Number one, remember, we learn and mimic how our parents deal with us as a way of learning to either trust ourselves or dismiss or minimize. Our parents also have their own style of managing feelings. And if you have self-esteem, if you have agency, if you pause and listen to yourself and then respond to people or situations, your children automatically and unconsciously mimic that in the first 5 years of brain development. Also, the secondary thing, whether your child is 5 or 25, if you change your style of managing feelings to full self-esteem and agency, they will mimic that even if the child is an adult. They'll notice you're managing people and situations and yourself differently and mimic it. And for all the parents out there, how do you create self-trust? How do you practice and get your children enough practice listening to themselves? By doing this. Every time the hot child has a feeling reaction, you reinforce it. Oh, I felt that way too. I used to get mad. Or every time the child has a read of a situation, it sure is tense here, Mom. Yes, it's tense. Dad and I are working on taxes. Has nothing to do with you. Or every time the child says, I want to build a kite that looks like the Washington Monument, you say, fabulous job. Let's go get the materials and let me know if you need any help. Those same dynamics we talked about in the beginning of the interview are the very same things that any parent here can reinforce in any of their children from birth on.
It is just so wonderful. So that, if we're doing this as a parent, but we didn't have the upbringing, we weren't raised in the way we would have desired, we can change it. It's all within our control. And then, as you said, we model this for our children,
Yes.
and we're learning together.
Yes. And the other gentle thing that happens automatically is, we have difficult people in our lives, right? People who kind of think they can run all over us or control us or push our buttons or get us to react. If you imply this shift, notice you're lit up, pause long enough as you drop to the blank screen, and then respond with your words, your point of view, people read you differently. All of a sudden they realize they can't push your buttons or get you to react, that they have to shift and start listening to or respecting you instead of walking all over you. So for people we already know, that pause and drop, the timing of it, plus you speaking your point of view when you do respond back, gives people the read that they have to respect you, or at minimum, that they can't loosen your foundations and get them to do what you want or control you. What a wonderful tool for people we know. And then meeting new people, as we do all the time, job interviews, socially, if you're dating, you give the people you're interacting with the presentation of high self-esteem and confidence that they can't shake. So they know if they want to date you or hire you, they have to respect and support your point of view as they collaborate with you.
Oh, it's so empowering. Just, there's no time like the present to be incorporating this.
Well said.
Right? Yes, we need this. It's important to us. It's life-giving, and it's right here at our fingertips. So this amazing book, Drop, Making Great Decisions, is available at all of our favorite book sources, correct, Dr. McKibben?
It is. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, a number of sources. I have 3 versions, audio, ebook, and print book. Audio version is out on a number of sources. And I have a website, HelenMcKibben.com, spelled McKibben.com, with examples and sources and blogs about how this methodology works, as well as a way to contact me. And on the website, it also refers you to where to buy the book.
Excellent. And just keying in on the audiobooks, some of us are auditory learners, for one, but also just as we're driving or we're out on a walk, it's so great to be putting this into our brain. Again, it's just the repetition and really enhances our learning.
Yes.
Right.
And our brain boosts us in the direction of this new methodology because you just end up feeling so much better with yourself and about yourself.
And life seems so much better, and just where we want to be present and do so much and be doing all that we're meant to do in our life.
In the moment, we call it. Allows you to get back away from being distracted by other people or thoughts or second-guessing yourself to being in the moment and truly enjoying your life.
What a gift. You are a gift, Dr. McKibben. And we didn't even get into all the research, but I think maybe another day we'll have a conversation about some of that background. But we're at the results here that are bound to make a difference, are making a difference in people's lives, right?
Yes, very much so. You know, I was a clinician for years and never wrote a book, and people said, you've got to get this method out there because it works. So finally I did write a book, and it was a long journey, but it's out there now.
And that is great because so many more people thus have access, and we're able to really do all that we can for ourselves in our life. So I'm deeply grateful for you, Dr. McKibben. Thank you so much for your work. Thank you for spending time with us today.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's been wonderful.
That brings us to the end of a very full hour of Inspirational Women with Dr. Helen McKibben and Sunday Morning Magazine with Tyler Pagel. I'm Kate Daniels, your host, and I do greatly appreciate your sharing this hour with me and these special guests. For details you might have missed or information you'd like to know, please just send me an email, kated@warm1069.com, and I will get right back to you. Also, if you'd like to listen again or to share these important stories with your family and friends, find the podcast on our Warm 1069 webpage. Just click on the Listen tab, then Podcast, and then either of the show names, and then look for the guest names. I now wish you and your family a day of spending special time together with family and friends, and it could mean committing to a special visit to Woodland Park Zoo soon. Have a week of the same, and then please plan to join me again next weekend for another hour of Sunday Morning Magazine and Inspirational Women on Warm 1069. Good morning.